Hey, congratulations on your new film, The Ritual.
Hi, Gag. How are you? Thank you. Thank you so
I
much.
am I am doing so well. We gotta love these exorcism movies, especially the fact that it's been years and decades since the Exorcist itself. But what drew you that you wanted to be part of the cast of The Ritual?
I think multiple things. The script was both kind of like a story about a girl that goes through mental health issues, and we don't know if she needed an exorcism or back in 1920s they didn't know how to diagnose a bipolar disorder or a schizophrenia. So that I found to be really interesting. And then the second one was the cast. Of course, Al Pacino was attached, and who was going to say no to him?
That is so true. Now, have have you heard about the story of Emma Schmidt before you took on the project, or did a little bit of research after you read the script?
Yeah, after I read the script, definitely. I didn't, like exorcisms to me were kind of like something that happened in movies, but not something that was so real and tangible and happening in the moment. So yeah, I definitely when I read the script, the team gave us a lot of resources for us to kind of like learn more about what's actually happening in this exorcism, what's actually happening in 1920s, um, and how would a nun behave around something like this. So yeah, I definitely had to do a lot of research throughout it all.
Now, just throwing it in the wind. I'm not sure if you have a Catholic background or not, but if you did that actually change your outlook on things with religion and stuff? And do you believe in exorcism itself?
Um, I did grow up in a Catholic family. I'm from Colombia. So like it's very, my tias and grandma and everyone practices the religion. And I grew up with the Semana Santas, which is the Holy Week, and there's a whole sorts of rituals that happen around then. I myself don't practice. My closest family, my dad, my mom, don't practice, but I've always been very spiritual. Um, so that was one part. And then like if I believed in exorcisms before, I felt like it felt like something like more distant, something that, as I said, like it happened in movies, but not something that could happen to any of us, to you, to me. And through this movie, I kind of like realized that no, this is like closer than we actually know, and this can happen to anyone. And that God is a really powerful protection against something like this.
Of course, costumes is everything. So tell me about what was that like putting on that habit?
It was very interesting. I was just telling this story in the car. I had really funny stories with it. Like, like you're living in this habit, like you're living in this costume like for 2 months, and you kind of like forget that you're now a nun. And like that's what happened to me. And it happened to me two times. One, I had to connect to it was kind of like a producers meeting for another movie. And I had to connect in my lunch break and I forgot to take my habit. Like I forgot to take it off. It just kind of like normal that I was carrying this with me. And I connected and they were like, oh. And I was like, oh, shoot. Okay, sorry. I need to restart. And then the second time happened to me where I had to go film an audition on my lunch break. And in the house that I was staying in, I kind of like go in rushing, just like taking my habit off, like because it was not a nun audition. I was just like a regular person audition. And I remember the neighbor seeing me, and I don't think he knew that I was filming a movie and that I wasn't a nun. So I think he thought that I was probably a nun in trouble, which was very funny. Like I still think about it. I'm like, ha. And I hope he now realizes that I was not in trouble and I'm actually okay.
That is a terrific story. Now, being on set is one thing to watch, Al Pacino and Dan Stevens do their work, but I want to give credit to Abigail, who actually is who plays the possessed or who whatever we don't want to reveal in this case, but you being in that room, what was it like watching the performance in her on that bed in that creepy room?
Abigail was very amazing. She like overcame like all my expectations. Like, I haven't seen any of her work before come into set, and then there we are, and I'm like, wow. First of all, so much empathy as an actress because she put herself through so much. Like, I felt for her every single day. Like, her emotional intensity was so hard. Like, all day, every day, she had to be in such an intense state. Like, that's when the really hard projects like get to you. Like, when your body starts being like, okay, what about me? So that I felt for her, and yeah, she did an amazing job. She all her eyes and like acting with her, like I didn't even have to like, I don't know, use any sort of techniques. I just had to be in the moment with her because she was giving so much to her character and to what her character was going through.
Well, of course, her character has to get under your skin too. In this case, can you tell us about getting in that mental state as she tries to, try to link, you to her, like through your abuelita in this case.
Yeah, I think it was very interesting because it kind of like we filmed that scene in down the filming, and it kind of like felt as if it was actually getting to me, like in a way, like, so many weird things were happening on set. Everyone was tired. The energies were very dense. Everyone was exhausted. And I kind of like got to set and I'm like, huh, I'm like very heavy right now. This is feeling. And then that day we filmed that scene. I was like, wow, this kind of feels very real. And I just told this story, but like I it was it's a sim that I found it to be like a very similar story, what happens to Sister Camila and her grandma. It was a very similar story than what happened to me and my grandma. Like, I didn't get to say goodbye to her, and like kind of like in this scene I kind of felt like I was able to channel that through. So that was very interesting.
Well said. And one more major scene that you actually had, and I want you to talk about, is you had a wonderful scene with Ashley Green, who also plays, a fellow nun. Can you talk about that? How frightening was that you have to portray?
Throughout the script, actually, there were a lot of scenes that didn't make it to the final cut. But throughout the script, Ashley Green's character and mine were the closest one. Like, the nuns developed like a very tight relationship. They slept in the same room. Sister Camila was the one who first noticed Sister Rose changes and like all these things that she started to go through. So it was, yeah, it was really. Um, I don't know. It was amazing. Like, cause something interesting is like the first person that I connected with on set was her. Like, her and I, like we were like, oh, we kind of like see each other. We're like very similar. Like, this is good. And then we're sisters. We're playing like the closest sisters, and I feel like that helped us throughout it all, to just create more chemistry and that bonding that we needed for the characters.
Well said. Well, let me wrap it up with one last question with you because Isai Morales is doing very well with the Mission Impossible movie, and you're gonna star alongside with him in the upcoming Crescent City. Can you tease us a little bit about that?
Crescent City is actually out already. Uh,
Oh,
we did that movie 3 years ago, and I think it came out last year. Yeah, last by the end of last year, and it's a thriller. If people here like crimes, it's a really good thriller movie. And Isai he's the character. He's amazing. He is a character himself, and in the movie, he plays an amazing, interesting character.
well said. Well, Maria, thank you very much for speaking to us about the ritual. Everyone needs to check it out, especially since this is much more grounded than fantastical horror than other films, and you did
Totally.
very well in this film.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the time.